Dave, obviously you guys saw this team in the regular season. Just from what you saw from them in the NLDS, how different are the Brewers today? And also how different are the Dodgers as you guys prepare for this now NLCS?
Yeah, I think that they're similar to what we saw earlier this year in the sense of think they're playing really good baseball. Towards the end of the year, they kind of scuffled a little bit, but, they're back to playing, the way they play. I think we're in a much better spot, just as far as on the health side, on the position player side, on the pitching side, and we're playing better. So, it should be a great series.
We'll stay in the second row towards the right, Fabian, and then Sonia.
Yeah, Dave, what went into going with Blake for game one, and is Shohei going to start game two?
Yama's going to start game two. So it's going to be Blake, and just those are the guys that could potentially pitch on regular rest.
And what went into sort of, is Shohei going to pitch sort of more towards the middle of the series then, or what's
He'll
the
pitch
sort
at
of
some
plan?
point, yeah, but we just don't know which day. But yeah, he's going to pitch at some point. Yep.
Then to Sonia.
Dave, with the way that Will's feeling now, do you still see a need to carry 3 catchers, or is that maybe somewhere where you can remove a position player out of pitcher?
Great question, and I had a couple conversations to have shortly. But that's a good thought.
Is the idea of pitching Shohei in front of an off day still something that the team will want to do this series, or does that not matter as much?
Not as important. I think that just kind of appreciating having 4 starters in a potential 7-game series and who can pitch potentially twice, and that's kind of the impetus versus Shohei, having that day off after a game,
Let's go to Jesse down in front.
Hey, Doc. I assume you watched last night or just the Brewers in general lately. The Padres get a lot of pub for their bullpen and the velocity. I mean, seeing, especially when Mizorowski comes out of the pen and Ashby and these guys throwing 100, what do you think about how they've developed the velocity and back end here in Milwaukee?
They've done a great job with drafting, scouting, player development, roster construction. They do a fantastic job. And then you take Murf and his staff, they've dominated it. The bullpen, they get you, with velocity from the right side, the left side. They've got balls that, sinkers, heavy sinkers. So they've got kind of all the different kind of mixes, and they're very talented, and they're not afraid to run those guys out there. So we got our work cut out. But as far as organization-wise, they've done a fantastic job.
Go to Paul in the second row on the end.
Dave, going back to Will Smith for a minute, the Brewers, they like to run a lot. Obviously, when Will's healthy, he's as good as anyone as slowing down the running game. I know there's other stuff that goes into it, but how confident are you in your team's ability to slow down the Brewers a little bit?
Yeah, you know what? I think that feel good. We're definitely mindful of those guys being aggressive on the bases. We like our guy back there, the catch and throw. But a lot of it is, the pitcher's got to, vary looks and hold, and we got to be mindful. But that's certainly something that we know, they're very opportunistic on the bases for sure.
Katie?
Dave, when you look at the Brewers high, it's clear you and others, they're a very athletic team. They're relentless. They don't make a lot of mistakes. When you think about how you combat their style of play, what do you need to do to execute that?
I think the main thing, which obviously you've got to play to put yourself in this position, is get a lead. When you have a lead, their aggression is more tempered. And when the wind's at their back, they're very aggressive. And so I think the thing is that if you can get a lead, put a little bit of pressure on them. They're a little bit more conservative. But if not, Murph's going to be aggressive, and the hit and runs, the first to thirds, the stolen bases, and all that kind of stuff.
Stay in that second row, Anthony.
Maybe a little similar to what you were just saying about Mizorowski and those guys, but what is having Roki, as effective as he's been for you, done for you in your management of your bullpen? And in a perfect world, Do you like him in that one inning thing, or more of what we saw in his last appearance?
Perfect world 1 inning, because there's a cost to 2 innings, or certainly 3 innings as far as on the backside of that, right? But it certainly helped stabilize the pen with leverage. Obviously, our guys have been going through it, but I do think that in the last week, our guys, we've seen some good things out of the guys in the pen, but certainly Roki's been a big part of it.
John, down in front.
Yeah, it's been suggested in a few places that Blake was slow played for just these kind of occasions. Is it fair to say that you guys used him cautiously in the regular season?
I think that's fair. Could he have probably pitched earlier? Possibly. But when you're talking about kind of the arm, the term of the contract, the shorter term, the season, making sure that he is raring to go for the postseason, through the postseason. So that was certainly part of the math, and that's why guys like what Clayton did and Emmett Sheehan and other guys did throughout the season to kind of get us to this point, to now be able to turn guys like Tyler loose and Blake Snell loose as well. Yeah.
Let's go to Bill, far right, third row.
Yeah, Dave, did Shohei's slump figure into the pitching choice at all? Taking pitching off of his plate for a couple days, let him recalibrate, to use your word, on hitting?
No, not at all. I think it was, just kind of, Shohei is going to pitch one game this season, or this series. So, it's one game, and then you have 2 other guys that potentially can pitch on regular rest. And so how do you get, sort of your best pitchers the most innings in a potential 7-game series? So I expect a different output from Shohei on the offensive side this series. But yeah, pushing him back was no bearing on the offensive performance.
All the way up in the far right, Bill.
Dave, credit to you guys for being back at this stage. The other 3 finalists, or Final 4, if you will, haven't been in the World Series in this century. As you guys travel around the country and get out of LA, do you sense that fans are happy to see you guys at the top, or do you think fans might want to see some fresh blood?
I think they're happy to see us. People love for fresh blood until you potentially see TV ratings, but I think they like seeing the Dodgers, whether they don't like rooting against us or rooting for us. But we got a lot of good players. I think we do things the right way as far as how we play the game. So I think they like seeing us, even here in Milwaukee.
Staying up on the right, Jack.
Dave, when you look at this a Brewers lineup that
Oh yeah, Jack.
doesn't chase a lot, makes a lot of contact, what kind of challenges does that pose, and how do you guys kind of balance maybe trying to get them to chase versus pitching them aggressively in the zone, if they put the ball in play more than maybe a lot of teams you see?
I think it's attacking them. I think a team that doesn't punch much, you try to be too fine, you're going to see yourself, 6, 8, 9 pitches and ultimately not get a strikeout. So I think the way to attack these guys is to attack them, and then sort of deal with the fallout, the result earlier in a count versus trying to nibble and chase that punch. But yeah, when you get count leverage, then obviously you're going to go for the punch out in the right time. But I think for the most part, sort of how I felt we did a good job with the Phillies and going after those guys, especially the big 3, kind of that same approach. Certainly a different profile of hitter, but I think that's the same approach.
We'll take a few more, Nobu and Russell on the left, and then we'll finish up with Bob on the right.
Hi, Dave. Back to Roki. Have you talked to him about throwing back-to-back game? And then are you still cautious to use him as a back-to-back game?
He is ready for whatever we need of him. So I haven't talked to him. I talk to him quite frequently, but whatever is needed of him, he'll be ready to go. So I'm not worried about the back-to-back.
Staying right here on the left, Russell.
Hey, Doc. Platoon advantage and matching up isn't something that's new to managing, but I think for the general public, they're starting to understand the idea of pockets more and hearing about pockets. What's changed about how you have to deploy or combat against another manager, trying to attack those pockets in your lineup, or maybe what you do later in games?
Yeah, I think it's lineup to lineup, roster to roster. I think that platoon advantage in a vacuum, always long view makes sense. But in a postseason setting, when you're baking in off days, it's just not always something you see managers do all the time, certainly in the last couple years, specifically this year. You're just not as aggressive as hitting for guys because, the cost of the 8th inning, the 9th inning, and as opposed to a line shift or change, right? So I think it's sort of philosophical, manager to manager, organization to organization. But, for me is, I'll hit for guys potentially, but there's certain guys I trust. And then you're talking about lineup construction, and how best to essentially attack the starter to combat the potential pen and those kind of things. So that's kind of philosophical, but that's kind of overarching how I look at it.
We'll finish up with Bob down in the front.
Hey, Dave, when you saw the Brewers in spring training, and of course you saw them again in July, even in spring, you think to yourself, these guys are better than people think? They got a chance to be playing deep in the season? Absolutely.
They're just gritty, they're tough, and they take on Murf's personality. And they've got some guys that can slug. They've got some athleticism. They really defend well. They can pitch well. So it's like they're going to be in every game. They've got complete buy-in, and so they're hungry. So those things are, components that are scary. And so I definitely felt they were a very good ball club. So anything Murf speaks to in the Lou Holtz vein, we're not buying, because that's a very good ball club.
All right, Doc, thanks for the time. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.